A millionaire stumbles upon a homeless boy dancing with his paralyzed daughter. What he did next left everyone in awe. The grand mansion, with its neutral-colored walls and towering presence, exuded a sense of wealth. But within its halls, there was a silence that spoke volumes. No laughter, no joy, just the heavy emptiness of loss. For over a year, the life of Charles King's only daughter had revolved around one harsh reality: her black wheelchair. 5-year-old Isabella, a sweet girl with unruly blonde curls and sparkling hazel eyes, had been paralyzed from the waist down after a horrific car accident. The vibrant, curious child who once filled rooms with her energy now spent her days gazing out the tall windows, watching life unfold outside while she remained stuck in place. Her father, Charles, a tall, striking figure in his early 40s, dressed in pristine white, had spared no expense in his search for a solution. The finest doctors, the latest therapies, even treatments abroad, nothing could help. Each failure left a mark, not just on him as a father, but as a man who always believed he could fix anything. On a warm afternoon, Charles walked into the front garden of his mansion, expecting the usual scene: Isabella sitting quietly, perhaps a book in her lap, her gaze distant. But what he saw stopped him cold. Isabella was laughing. Not the polite chuckle she gave when trying to be courteous, but a full, carefree laugh that filled the air. It was so loud and genuine that it seemed to echo in the stillness. Her tiny hands were clapping excitedly, her face lit with joy. And before her stood a boy. Barefoot, no older than 9, with deep bronze skin and a wild mess of black curls. His clothes, an oversized olive t-shirt and matching shorts, hung loosely on his slender frame. His knees were scraped, his ankles dusty, but his eyes glimmered with playful mischief. The boy was dancing in a way Charles had never seen before. His steps were exaggerated, hopping side to side, twisting his arms into silly, erratic shapes. He pretended to slip and dramatically caught himself, then pointed at Isabella as if daring her not to laugh. She laughed harder than ever. Before we continue, kindly tell us in the comments, what time is it where you're watching from? Also, don't forget to strike that like and subscribe button. Now let's get back to our story. Charles's first reaction was frustration. This was his private property. How had this child gotten past the gates? Where was the security? He took a step forward, his shoes sinking slightly into the grass, but then he stopped. Isabella wasn't just watching. She was leaning forward in her chair, her eyes alive, her body moving as though trying to mimic him, her toes wiggling in the air. It had been months since he'd seen her this engaged. The boy saw him then. Their eyes locked for a brief moment. Charles expected him to run. Instead, the boy's grin widened and he spun in a wide circle, bowing like a performer. Isabella clapped, beaming with delight. Charles stepped back behind a marble column, his chest tightening. He didn't want to interrupt. Not yet. Something was unfolding here, something Charles couldn't quite grasp, but also couldn't bear to interrupt. The boy's movements grew more animated, his body rolling across the grass, springing up with a bounce, all while never breaking his gaze with Isabella. She laughed so hard, tears rolled down her cheeks. It was the first time Charles had seen her cry with pure joy since the accident. Time seemed to stand still. The world beyond the mansion walls faded away, leaving only the boy's lively dance and Isabella's delighted claps. Charles found himself clutching the marble column, his knuckles white, torn between the impulse to step in and the fear of breaking whatever fragile magic was unfolding before him. At last, the boy paused, pretending to catch his breath after a grand performance. Isabella squealed with delight. The boy didn't miss a beat, bowing dramatically and jumping right back into another routine. Charles's thoughts spun. Who was this boy? Where had he come from? And why did it feel like he was witnessing the first flicker of life returning to his daughter? Charles stayed hidden, watching as Isabella's face glowed with joy. Every move the boy made seemed perfectly crafted to make her feel included, even in her wheelchair. Charles saw her muscles tense and shift, her body ever so slightly moving in rhythm with his. His heart raced, and for the first time in a long while, it wasn't from frustration, it was from hope. Fragile, uncertain hope. But hope wasn't something Charles allowed himself to feel easily. He needed answers. Tomorrow he would get them. Tomorrow he would step out from behind the column and find out exactly who this boy was. The following afternoon, Charles didn't hide. Isabella was already in the garden, bathed in the soft glow of the late sun. She kept glancing toward the front gates, her expression filled with quiet anticipation. Then, as if drawn by her unspoken weight, the boy appeared. He slipped through the hedge by the side wall, his bare feet barely making a sound on the grass. His clothes were the same as the day before, though now they were dusted with the marks of the street. He didn't notice Charles at first. Instead, he walked straight to Isabella, arms raised in an exaggerated greeting. "Ready for the show?" he grinned. "Yes." Isabella squealed, clapping her hands together in excitement. But before the boy could begin, Charles stepped forward. The boy froze mid-step, his smile faltering. His eyes flicked nervously toward the gate and then back to Isabella. "I'm sorry," he said quickly, his voice dropping to a near whisper. "I didn't mean." "It's all right," Charles cut him off, his tone firm but not unkind. "I just want to talk." Isabella's head snapped toward her father. "Daddy, please don't make him go. He's my friend." Her voice, rare and urgent, carried a note of fear that Charles hadn't expected. Charles crouched down, bringing himself eye level with the boy. "What's your name?" "Owen," the boy replied after a brief pause. "How old are you, Owen?" "9, I think." "You think?" Charles raised an eyebrow. Owen's gaze dropped to the grass, his voice quiet. "I don't, have a birthday cake or anything. Nobody ever told me." Charles's chest tightened, his heart aching for the boy. "Where do you live, Owen?" Owen hesitated, then shrugged. "Around. Sometimes at the old bus station. Sometimes in the laundry room at the apartments if no one's there. I just find places." Isabella's eyes were wide with excitement, her small hands gripping the arms of her wheelchair as if she might burst with joy. "He's not bad, Daddy. He makes me happy." Charles watched her, noticing how her cheeks were flushed with excitement, her posture straighter than he'd seen in months. And in that moment he realized she was right. "What were you doing yesterday, Owen?" Charles asked, his voice calm but curious. "I was just walking by," Owen replied quietly. "I heard music from your garden and I saw her sitting there looking sad. So I started dancing to make her laugh. She told me to do more, so I came closer. I wasn't trying to steal anything, sir. His voice faltered. She looked like she needed it." Charles fell silent, his mind processing the boy's words. After a long pause, he turned to Isabella. "How do you feel right now, sweetheart?" "Happy," she answered instantly. "Like I can move again even if I can't." Charles's gaze fell to her bare feet, and his heart skipped. Her toes moved, just a slight twitch, but it was real. Over the next week, Charles didn't ask Owen to leave. Instead, he gave instructions to the guards to let him in every afternoon. Owen arrived, sometimes with small scraps of food he had found, sometimes simply with his endless energy. He danced, told stories, and made goofy faces. Isabella joined in as much as she could, lifting her arms, leaning forward, even using her hands to spin her chair in small circles. The change was impossible to ignore. At Isabella's next checkup, the doctor was astonished. "I don't know what you've been doing," he said to Charles, "but whatever it is, keep it up. This level of emotional engagement, it's rare. And it's working." One late afternoon, as Jade lost himself in the rhythm of an old jazz song, Isabella suddenly gripped the armrests of her wheelchair, pushed with all her might, and managed to lift herself halfway out of the chair. Charles, standing nearby, froze. She held herself there, breathless but determined, for 3 full seconds before sinking back into the seat, panting but beaming. "I did it," she gasped, a wide grin spreading across her face. Owen erupted in joy, spinning around in an excited circle before dropping to his knees beside her. "You're amazing," he cheered. Charles, his throat tight with emotion, crouched beside Isabella. "You are," he whispered, brushing a curl from her forehead. Then he looked at Owen. "And so are you." Later that night, after Isabella had fallen asleep, Charles found Owen sitting alone on the back steps. The boy looked so small against the enormity of the mansion. "You can't keep living like this," Charles said, his voice firm. Owen shrugged, eyes downcast. "I've been doing it my whole life." "Not anymore," Charles said, his voice steady. "From today you live here. You'll have a room, meals, clothes. You'll go to school. You'll be part of this family." Owen stared at him, his eyes wide with disbelief. "What? You don't even know me?" Charles's expression softened. "Because you gave my daughter something no doctor, no therapy, no amount of money ever could. You gave her hope. And I won't let the person who did that sleep on a cold floor again." Owen swallowed hard, looking away. But Charles saw the tears welling in his eyes. The next day the garden felt more alive than ever. Owen danced, Isabella clapped along, and Charles stood by, a faint smile playing at the corners of his lips. For the first time in a long while, the mansion didn't feel like a silent prison. It felt like home. If you enjoyed this story, don't forget to give it a thumbs up and hit that subscribe button for more emotional, dramatic, and unexpected tales. And let us know in the comments where in the world you're watching from. We love hearing from all of you. Until next time, stay kind, stay curious,